What's going on, guys? I hope you're well. You know, when I get on here, I've got something on my mind. Something I want to talk about. I don't want to hit the desk because it shakes the camera. Sorry about that. But I tell you, I really want to address this because, you know, I'm one of many, and, you know, every one of us are different. I want to preface something before I say what I'm going to say. We're all different. We all do different volume. We all do different genres, different ways. But there's something in the middle of that works in certain techniques. And if you build your own routine, do what you're best at musically. I've said this so many times till I'm blue in the face. Do what you're best musically. You can achieve the volume that is doable in that genre of music. And I say this because, like, if you're a singer-songwriter or you do trailer music or orchestral, that volume is not going to be one a day in most cases. It's not going to. But if you're doing instrumental cues and stuff like that, or you're scoring to scenes directly, that volume can be a lot larger, and it's a different world. You can't compare those two worlds at all. You can't do it because it's different. And I say this because on these Facebook forums for music licensing and sync licensing, there was one question asked. The guy goes, "For those of you who are doing one track a day, how do you do it? I don't get it. I'm good if I could do one a week, blah, blah, blah." And you know, obviously I could tell that he hasn't been doing it long. I've been doing this since 2009, 2010, solidly since 2010. I think the most of the work I've done and it hit it hardest is since 2017. I kind of threw spaghetti at the wall and did it a little bit from 10 to 17, even though I was working a little bit on it. But since 2017, I've really hit it. Some things that really took my music career into a better tier. Now, do I have more? Yeah, I've got a lot more I need to do. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm a lot better than I was. That's for sure. 1 second. But what I want to address is I see the comments on there, man, of these guys going, "Oh, all that volume is low quality and it's no way you're going to make money." And they think all this volume, you get all this placements, and you do all this volume and you never get those placements. Well, apparently that comment is false. And I would not fall for that comment one bit. I really wouldn't, to be honest, because we're all different, for one. And my advice was, find what you're good at, what you're the best at. I've always said, when you're in this business, don't go tell somebody, God, whatever you do, please don't go tell a library or a supervisor or editor or whoever you're talking to in this industry. Don't tell them you do everything, because that's the biggest turnoff known to man. You don't believe me? Go watch that interview Jesse Josephson did with the CEO of Extreme Music. And if you don't know about Extreme Music, and they're backed by Sony, you need to go to extrememusic.com and check it out. One of the biggest music distributors in the world, along with BMG and Universal. They're huge. They're really top notch. He said it best in those exact words. So, but find what you're best at, as I was stating here. Build templates, build a routine. When I say a template, is like, you can take the track you just finished and use that as a template. In other words, when you're done with that track, you bring it back up. Don't use the stuff in it. Clear that stuff out. And you have all your tracks set up. You have the VSTs you like using, and go in and search for new elements to start a new track and do that. Listen, these cues they're creative. It is artwork. You are composing, but you're also almost like painting a mural too. It's all about the vibe, the element you're using, and how you're composing it. There's 12 steps in a scale completely, 12 semitones. And you got a major and minor and certain tonalities that can make up certain things that can diminish certain minor keys, like a Phrygian. If you flat that second or something, can make it darker sounding, or you can get really into what they call Locrian mode. I don't want to get too deep if you don't understand that, but like listening to Black Sabbath or Metallica or something, they use a lot of those Locrian notes and flat the flat seventh, kind of thing. But anyway, I digress on that. Find what's good with you, build those templates, and get a routine. And depending on what you're doing, you could do a track a day. Hey, I've done 2 a day. Like this week, I've been on a roll of working a couple a day, and then I kind of slow down and would do 1 a day because I get busy with other things. And then sometimes I don't do one a day. Sometimes I take a break and go, I'll do 3 or 4 in a week. I may do a couple one day and another, take a few days if I need a brain break or a ear break. I've talked about that. Sometimes you need that, but don't take a year to do it. Sometimes you just need to go take a walk or go for a couple hours, go get a smoothie at Smoothie King or something, But be it that it may, build that routine. The more you're doing it, the more you find that niche. Find those publishers that place a lot of that music that you do, a lot of it. And to negate some of those comments that are saying that volume is low quality and it's not fruitful and you're not going to get any placements and blah, blah, blah. That volume is where it's at, my friend, because that builds your back end. I've got couple of publishers I'm building volume with. I probably do 100 tracks a year for each one of those. That's 200 a year. Plus I have tracks I do for some other people that are that other 30 to 50 tracks a year. Like a couple albums here and there of these people. Excuse me, something bleeped with my studio, sorry. But to my point is that, that volume of 250 tracks a year, it's real. Because the majority of those tracks get used. And I see it in my royalty statements. I'm like, it's like the shopping mall theory. You get 10,000 people come looking and there's a percentage that it's going to buy. So by volume, you want as many people in there to watch, look, and, and browse. But there's a percentile that's going to buy. So they may not use those cues, all those cues next year or this year right away, but in time they start using them because they come around and because they're spinning through trying to harvest this music. Listen, most of this is for editors that are searching through a database like NetMix that Viacom CBS uses and maybe some other networks. I know CBS Viacom does. I don't know if it's shared, but you're talking about a network, just one, that has 10, 15, 20 million pieces of music in it. And I'm looking at, they're picking my stuff. That is powerful. So if you don't think it doesn't work, that right there, let alone, should tell you. I'll tell you something else. I've had 3 different tracks from 3 different publishers. I've said this before, I've mentioned it, on the same TV show. Now, not exactly on the same episode, but those 3 different tracks, 3 different publishers on the same TV show. Let me repeat that again. 3 different tracks from 3 different publishers on the same TV show, same network. My point is these publishers are all working for the same clients. But what you need to do is find out what publishers are working the hardest and what publishers are placing the genre that you do, because they pick certain libraries to work where they're ingest that music because that library has a certain niche, a niche, as some people pronounce it. They may do all tension music, or they may do upbeat underscore. They may do rock for sports. They may do hip hop, epic hip hop or tension hip hop. I did a couple albums for a library where tension with hip hop, and I'm doing another one for them this year. In fact, I'm working on that album this week. And I'll probably get that album done in about a week and a half of 10 tracks. These are 1.5 minute and 40 cues. Because I'm in a routine, I'm good at doing it, and I know it's spontaneous creation, but you have to understand that when you're a songwriter or something for the masses, and then you're doing production music, even if you're doing singer-songwriter for production music versus to Spotify to the fan base, that's 2 different worlds. Because in production music, you're in the service industry. And not everybody wants this. It's not always about you. Production music. And they get on this NSYNC forum last thinking it's like everything's about Spotify. What I do about getting over here. Because when you're writing songs for the masses, a lot of times those songs aren't going to work in sync because, one, they're not structured or sequenced right. The ending may not be right. The lyrics and the theme may not be right. Now, that's not to say that hit songs aren't used on TV, because they are. It just happens to be a track that works, or maybe they just wanted to take Taylor Swift song and use it in there just to get people to watch that scene and watch that show, But you have to understand it's a service industry. You got to get yourself in that routine to understand this. And the reason why I say how I found some of these libraries and how you learn about the libraries is, one, you do your research, but it's hard to know when you get on a library to find out how many placements they get and how hard they're working. But if you see how many tracks they got in the library, you're going to know they've been doing it a while. And I've already said one trick is to go to that library's repertoire on BMI or ASCAP and look at their track count. In the thousands, they've been doing it a while. In the less than 1,000, they're new. But the thing is I've collaborated with other composers who have introduced me to these people. And I have met a lot of these people. I've gotten contracts. I've met at the conference, Production Music Conference, folks. I'm going here in September in a few weeks. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to turn the camera on. And I keep saying I want to turn it on and maybe ask some people some questions about their experience. And I think I'm going to do that this year. I think I'm going to turn the camera on and say, I'm going to talk to some incredibly talented people they're heavy in this industry. I'm going to let them give you their insight, I think. But I just wanted to get on and just say, listen, you got to take people's comments with a grain of salt. I'm not putting somebody's comments down, but my point is that they're making comments on something that they're comparing two different worlds. And they're not understanding that if you're not in that world, you don't understand it. There's a composer that made a comment on that particular post. His name is Eddie Wahl, W-O-H-L. Eddie is an incredible talent. This guy's amazing. I see him every year at the conference. He's a great guy. I love hanging out and talking to him. I always feel like I try to learn something from him all the time. He's just next level. The guy's connected. He scores to documentaries, commercials, and TV shows, and does cues like I do. And he writes songs. He's produced for some big bands out there some really big bands out there. And he's just a great guy all around. And I love him to death. I look forward to seeing him in a few weeks. But even he said, I've done 60 cues in a month. Now, mind you, most of those cues were scoring to a scene. Now, you're scoring to a scene, that volume could be larger than just doing the cues of a minute and a half to a minute and 45, 2 minutes long in a month. Because when you're just writing cues like I do, most of the time you're writing for anticipating placements to a vast variety of opportunities, which most of them are. That volume is less because it takes more time, to do it, but it's just different. When you're scoring to a scene, your elements are smaller, something is different. You're catering to that one moment that could be anywhere from 15 seconds to 30 seconds long. And it's quick and specific, and it's in and it's out. And he's writing to that moment. So yeah, you could do 60 scenes in a month, or more than that if you really know what you're doing. Go watch Hans Zimmer talk about the scenes. He's doing a scene a day or an hour, or rolling 15, 20 cues per scene. They're trying to pick the best one. And then they come back the next day and go, well, let's try something else. And he's got a bunch of orphans over here piled up in a file folder going, all these little cues I've done for scenes, we've gone through so many that I'll go back and pick another one and drop it in. If they don't know it, they may go, well, that sounds good, because they had a fresh set of ears on it. It's not deceiving somebody. It's just one of those things that maybe it's okay to try it again, even though, you can plug away and plug away and plug away, but it's determining what their ears want. It's an element, a sound of something that fits it, that mood and that vibe. So you're asked a broad question of how to do it, but you need to dig down and get specific of what it is that you do. What do you do? What do you want to do? And how do you get there of doing a track a day if it warrants that? If you're a singer-songwriter, if you can write a song, mix, master it, and complete it in a day, you're a hell of a damn composer. I'm not saying there aren't guys that could do it. Prince has done it. When he was alive, Prince did it. So, but anyway, I didn't want to get too long. I just wanted to cover this, but just you do you. We're all different. Don't gauge an answer on a broad question and then somebody's negative answers about something that they're comparing two different worlds here, folks. And I want you to understand that. So take that as a grain of salt. If you got any questions, let me know. If you got any insight that I can learn from, put it down below, because I'm not the be-all, end-all. I don't claim to be. I'm plugging away at it like you guys are. We're all in this together, man. We really are. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Be cool. Bye.